Hey guys, happy Halloween. It's just been a second. Sorry about that. This month got really crazy pretty much immediately after I said I was going to start doing things like this. And I also apologize, you won't be seeing a camera today, mostly because I'm working on finding a solution for how laggy and what a hassle dealing with the camera was last time. Alright, so I put a poll out yesterday asking what people wanted my Halloween video to be about. And it was pretty much decided that you guys wanted me to talk about the spirits of the area that I used to live in back when I was growing up. I believe in the actual poll I described it as Hallway Ghost, Jeff the Incubus, and the ghosts of my childhood home. Alright, so being as vague as possible without accidentally doxing my brother and my mom and pretty much all of my family, the area that I used to live in is one of the many military fort areas in Utah. This one specifically is known to have caused a few hauntings, as have a couple of the other old fort areas. But especially this one due to some really stupid shit that happened when they were building the nearby strip mall. What's so interesting about this strip mall and this Walmart in particular is it is actually known to be haunted. And not just by the people that shop there, but by the people that work there all the time. I've actually worked at a couple of the businesses that are in the strip mall. One of the places I worked at, the shopping carts would move themselves. The shelves that you had straightened up after closing, you would walk back 5 minutes later to find them messed up again. You'd find the same toy seemingly moving around the store without being touched. The fridges would open and shut. There was a old man who you could hear moaning and breathing in the back room of that specific store. That was a weird one. And I actually did find that one out myself one day, which was fun. The Walmart there, though, there weren't a lot of people that actually wanted to talk about it at the Walmart. Some of them didn't believe in it. Some of them thought that if they talked about it too openly, they could get in trouble or they could scare a customer or something. But at least on the overnight staff, there were a lot of us that actually just kind of heard weird shit. I would hear footsteps on the roof at night. There were people that told me that they would see a little kid running around through the back room or a woman in a dress walking along the shelves. One of my managers actually used to see figures staring at her through the truck bay window that would vanish after she blinked. Shadow figures would be seen in the parking lot. I actually saw them several times myself. It was a lot of things just like that. Just little weird things where there's no name, there's no reason for it. They just happen a lot. Everywhere in the store. This isn't even covering everything that I ever saw or heard about happening there. This is just the basic, well-known ones that people that worked at my store just knew about. The reason I later found out, according to a book that I read about the different forts in Utah, is that my specific area, and that strip mall specifically, are known to be especially haunted due to the fact that when the strip mall was being built, the people that were digging the foundation for the Walmart happened to find the old fort graveyard. And instead of bringing somebody in to pull out the bones or do anything special with it or bring in maybe some archaeologists to study the area, they decided they were just going to pour cement on it and build the Walmart anyway. And they didn't bother telling the people that owned this Walmart that they had done this until after it was built and they'd handed over the keys. It was just kind of like, all right, well, here's your Walmart. Hope you enjoyed. By the way, there's like an unknown amount of bodies under the tiles, but that doesn't matter, right? It's all good. Anyway, have fun. Thanks for the money. Yeah, so as a result, the entire area is pretty fucking haunted, especially the Walmart. And given that I didn't live that far away, my house got to be part of the whole super fucking haunted thing. I knew of for sure about 3 or 4 ghosts that frequently stayed at my house. And then there was a whole bunch of them that would just come and go. There were children spirits that would suddenly appear. I actually remember one Christmas I was helping wrap presents, and there was a little girl that ran up through the hallway, and I thought it was my little sister for a second, and then she was gone. There was a strange spirit, and he was one of the ones that was always there. And I never had an actual name for him. I guess I dubbed him George at some point in high school. Why I did that, no idea. I honestly don't remember most of high school, so there could have been some actual reason I named him George, but it's lost to me at this point. Dawn might know, but nah, whatever. Not close enough to front for me to ask. George was interesting because he didn't talk. He didn't really communicate other than physical touch. I had known him to tap my shoulder or tap me on the back. Once he actually slapped me in the back to get my attention, and I actually could see a handprint on my back. I wish I had a photo of that one, but unfortunately I didn't have a phone with a camera at that point. That was back when I was stuck on a flip phone. But he was a really, really nice one, and he tended to just stay up near the back door and just kind of chill out and watch things. Sometimes I'd hear him walk around upstairs when I was downstairs, and that's pretty much the extent to the noise that he would make. There was another one, I want to say that I named him Reynold. Reynold was a sweetheart. He would sometimes communicate, but he mostly was just interested in looking at technology. If the TV was on, you better believe that he's probably behind you. He would lean over my shoulder to look at my phone. He would lean over me to look at my computer. It was that meme that goes around sometimes where the person's like, oh, I turn the page and feel a cold chill up my spine because the spirit wasn't ready for me to turn the page yet. It was pretty much that, except it would be like I'd play a video game and I would just feel this like pressure over my shoulder as if somebody was watching me. And it was just him, and we were cool with it. There was another one that specifically stayed in my room. She was a girl named Tiffany. A few people actually knew about her, had seen her, stuff like that. Mostly just friends of mine that would come over. I personally never got to see her, but the way she's been described to me is she looks like she's probably about somewhere between 17 to 19, wearing a white dress with long dark hair. I mean, that's kind of a stereotype, I know, but that's what I was told she looks like. She was really cool. Back when I was just starting out with witchcraft, she actually would help a lot. She was the one that would grab hold of the pendulum a lot of times to help me out with some things. There were a few others that were either later additions or left after a while. One of the old ones that eventually left, we don't have an actual name for him. He wanted to go by Alphazar. I'm just gonna call him Alfalfa. That's kind of what my nickname for him was. I just called him Alfalfa a lot. He was very grumpy. He was very angry. He wasn't the kindest of spirits, but he just hung out. He wasn't malicious. He just didn't want to be bugged, and he just wanted to exist and just be left alone. So for the most part, we ended up leaving him alone, and he eventually just kind of went off on his own somewhere. And then there was finally the one that I'm sure everybody is here for, Jeff, the incubus. The reason that I call him Jeff is because when I first found him, I woke up one morning, and mind you, I used to sleep with my door locked pretty much. I woke up one morning and found that somebody in the night, when my internet had blipped out, had written in my Skype chat, "I'm Jeff, I like boobs." And this was extremely funny to me. So I pulled out my pendulum and I asked if Jeff was around, and he said he was, and after a little bit of questioning, I discovered that he was an incubus. And honestly, as far as incubi go, he's pretty chill. He's honestly one of the only ones I think I would trust. He doesn't actually feed off of me. Back then, the most he would ever do is just kind of like mess with my hair or touch my butt. But he and I had a deal. He wanted to hang around. He was bored. He had nothing else to do. Supposedly he'd been sent after me by somebody, but I'm not sure who or why that happened. But he was really chill. He was seen a couple of times by one of my friends and was actually described as looking kind of like, in current day speak, he would look like an emo e-boy type thing from everything that he's been described to me as. Just kind of hoodies and dark clothing, and the color purple and pink was a huge theme for him in general. But he was actually pretty cool. He still pops in from time to time to check on me and talk to me. He's actually one of the only ones from that time period that I still have actual contact with, given that, you know, I don't live in that house anymore. But unfortunately, not every spirit in my house was this friendly. Some of them were extremely neutral or didn't really seem to have any ability to contact me or really will to. Those ones specifically being of cats that I used to own. There's a very specific cat of mine that I'll still see occasionally, but some of them were a little bit more malicious. I only know of a few, and I don't know anything about them. There's one that I call the Silhouette Man. I'd rather not get too much into him. I don't want to attract that kind of energy at all, but he was an extremely threatening figure that I actually had to have one of my friends help me cleanse out of the house. There was one that was known to hang out behind my room. I wish I still had the photo. There was actually a photo that I had taken once where you could see him grinning at me. And I wasn't even the one that noticed him at first. Somebody else did. God, I thought I heard somebody banging. That was creepy. I'll have to listen back to this when I edit it. Anyway, we don't know anything about this one. He was the main reason why I had to learn protection magic so quickly. He was honestly a really disturbing presence. He just would watch me through the window. I actually got into a habit of mostly keeping my window closed if it wasn't daytime, because he would just watch me through the window. It was fucked up, and he looked fucked up. The one picture I managed to get of him was just terrifying. And then there was Hallway Ghost, and he also, I'm not sure anything about him. I know that he'd been in the house a lot longer than pretty much any of the other ghosts I'm aware of. Maybe not as long as Tiffany, but he'd been there for a really long time. And before the basement was finished so that we could live in it, I would get this really weird feeling about a specific part of the basement where I was scared to go back there because I was almost afraid that something was gonna jump out of the boxes and do something to me. That's all I knew. I had this feeling like there was something back there and it wanted to hurt me. And I didn't know what it was or why. So I hated going into the basement, especially as a kid. And when it was finally finished, I thought that it would be done with, but I started getting the same feeling, but directly outside of my sister's and my room. So pretty much the entire time that I lived in my parents' house, I kept my bedroom door shut if I was in there, because it always felt like whatever that was right outside my door was just waiting for me. Thankfully, it's not there anymore. The last time that I visited my parents' house, it was gone. And I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure how, but it was gone. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know if you want to hear any more stories, and I will see you guys all later. Bye.